All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we got a pretty special video lined up. This is my 1-year anniversary of the channel. Like, we're on, this will be my 365th video in a row on the channel. So even though it's not technically 1 year, because this year was a leap year, so, in other words, tomorrow will be like the technical from May 25th to May 25th year. We're still going to celebrate in that way because it's 365 days straight. We made it. That was a personal goal I was trying to hit, guys, and we got there, and just really good stuff there. So because of that, we got a pretty cool video lined up for today. First of all, we're going to be checking out Green Purple Doflamingo. Doflamingo is a very, very solid pick into the meta currently. It has a few weaknesses we'll talk about, but it has one really big strength, and that's against Red Purple Law. This deck, this leader that we're going to be looking at today is catered to, like, basically beat Red Purple Law. That's not to say that Red Purple Law can't still win. The deck is very strong, but this has some really good options into it, and it's something off meta your opponent might not know how to play against if you're playing locally and stuff like that. We'll talk about that more as we get into the video. But yeah, we're going to be checking out Green Purple Doflamingo. We're going to be looking at a playmat that I'm going to be offering very soon. I'll have more details on it soon, but I at least want to show you guys the picture of it today and kind of give you guys a little run through of how I designed it and how everything's there for a reason, right? And yeah, that's basically the bulk of the video, right? So let me give you a quick rundown. First, we'll check out the deck list, like I said, the Green Purple Doflamingo list from the East. Then we will go from there over into some games on the sim, playing the list that we're looking at here, and then we'll critique the list at the end and kind of do some final thoughts and some wrap up from there. And just before that, we will look at the mat real quick. Okay, so you know what you're getting into, guys. There will be some potential OP07 spoilers in what we're looking at, so bear in mind, that's what's going on. Okay, now without any further ado, let's check out the mat, guys. This is it. I've been working on this mat for like 2 months, guys, with 2 different artists. I needed one artist. Let me move my face, too, so you guys can see the full thing. Okay. I had one artist draw this Rayleigh picture for me, and then I had a whole nother artist fill out this background into something that was like, made for a playmat. And everything is here. Everything is calculated and put here for a specific purpose, right, guys? So check this out. You see, number one, my color pattern, like my favorite color pattern for those who are not aware, is white, black, and gold. So that is the overarching theme of this entire piece, is white, black, and gold. Notice the trim there. Okay, and of course I have the VV theory on here. I just wanted that on here because it's just a nice way for anyone who does want to support the channel. I'm going to be ordering 100 of these playmats, so it'll be first come, first serve. I don't expect them to like fly off the shelf or anything, just so you guys know. But anyone who is interested in buying these, I will have more information in a later video. I don't have any information for you yet. I just put in the order today for 100 of them. Once I work out how much shipping and handling will be, I'll be able to work it out from there and give you guys like an accurate price and all that good stuff, and a way for you to be able to buy it. Like you got to set up a store for stuff like this or a PayPal or something. It can get kind of technical. But now let me walk you guys through the mat real quick. So first up, like over here on the face, let me go back a little bit to right. Let me just hit play and push it to right here. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. Okay, perfect. So notice how it's all set up. These black hockey bolts, like black and gold hockey bolts, Supreme Conquerors hockey style bolts here, they separate the entire mat into 3 different zones. Do you notice that? You've got your battle zone up here, where your units are going to fight. In the middle here, you've got your leader, your stage, and then your deck. And then at the bottom here, you've got your Dawn, your resource area, and your trash, right? Your Dawn deck, your resource area, and your trash. It's completely set up in a very specific way. That's also not only for One Piece. Like, that's one thing I really want to mention, guys. Like, yes, obviously I made this with One Piece in mind, but if whatever game you're playing, you can use this layout in whatever it is. If you're playing Flesh and Blood, guess what? Your leader goes in the middle, just like you already know, and everything is set up in a very specific way. Where the face over here, where Rayleigh is, this is our life in One Piece. Well, this is where the equipment is over in Flesh and Blood. Up here is where the combat chain is in that game. This is for Flesh and Blood, or excuse me, this is for One Piece here, though. it's all laid out in a very specific way to be able to be used in any game without needing the zones. Because this is just a personal thing for me. I don't like zones very much. I don't like when they're printed on the mat. And if you do, that's fine. I understand that. But me personally, I wanted something that did not have zones. So that way it was something, it was interchangeable. Like you can use this if you're playing Magic. You can use this if you're playing One Piece, if you're playing Digimon, you name it. Right? Just literally you name it. What else? Real quick. So over here on the face, notice where the life is. I have this here where Rayleigh's face is. And that's another thing I should mention. Rayleigh's my favorite character, so of course I had to have Rayleigh as the person on my mat. And right here, as you start taking damage, you start revealing Rayleigh's scar, right? Like that's a big part of it, right? Let me fast forward real quick and just like, there we go, pause. And then like you see how it starts revealing the scar, and you know the guy behind it. It's, you know, it's like a reveal almost over the course of the game, and it will also spread out the top here once you run out of life for more places for you to put your characters. Because I know a lot of people like to play with their deck up here in the top right corner. Or some people, I think, you know, my good buddy Joey from Heart Pirates TCG, he likes to play with his deck all the way up to the top left. And that's perfect, right? You can just put it right here, and now you're just staring at you can see his face the entire time. So it works out perfectly either way. I wanted this design to be as, you know, what's the word? As malleable as possible, as... I think the word is ubiquitous as possible, where you can just kind of use it in whatever way you need to. Where, you know, if you need it for One Piece, okay, here it is. But oh, you're going to Magic the Gathering tournament tomorrow? Okay, we'll just you can still bring this, and the zones are set up in a very generic way. That's probably a better word, is generic. Okay, I think that's about it. Oh, one more thing I did want to add is anyone who does buy the mat, again, like I said, I'll have prices and all the details worked out in a later video. Whoever is interested, you guys know how at the end of every video I have this patrons page, right? I will have another page dedicated to anyone who bought the mat. Like it'll show your name in there that you supported the channel by buying the mat. So good stuff there. Like I said, more details to come on this in the near future, probably in about 2 weeks out from here. All right, so there is the playmat. Let's get back into what we were trying to get into here with green-purple Doflamingo. And obviously, I'll have all this time stamped below. You'll be able to jump to wherever you want in the video if you don't care about, you know, buying a new playmat. All right, so let's go ahead and break this leader down, guys. We got green-purple Doflamingo, 7 Warlords of the Sea, Don Quixote Pirates type. And this leader has a very interesting, very unique effect, in my opinion. It's at the end of your turn. At the end of every one of your turns, you're going to be able to stand up 2 of your Dawn. Put up to 2 of your Dawn cards and set them as active. Now, what does that mean? Understand, okay, there are 3 different Dawn orientations. I've mentioned this in many other videos, but I just want to make sure everyone understands this, especially newer players. If your Dawn is rested, you will be able to set it as active at the end of your turn with this effect, up to 2 of your Dawn. But there are 2 other orientations. That is active. You know, you don't have to do anything with that because it's already active. But then there's attached. If you've attached a Dawn to your leader or to one of your characters, well, sorry, you can't stand that Dawn with this effect. It doesn't work like that. It's just, it wouldn't do anything. You know, those cards are attached. Or those Dawn cards are attached to the characters or leaders. But any Dawn that is rested, you will be able to stand up to 2 of them at the end of your turn with this leader's effect. Okay, so now that we know what the leader does, I'm going to run through the list real quick, and we'll go about it from there. Okay, so 4 Viola, 4 Sugar, 3 Diamante, 4 Doflamingo, 4 Baby 5 the 2K counter, 4 Baby 5 the Searcher, 2 Hody Jones, 4 Trafalgar Law, 4 Queen, 1 Punk Gibson, 4 Spiderweb, 3 Birdcage. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about this. 4 Off-White, 1 Ragnarok, and 3 Noro Beam Sword. That's a really interesting one. Let's tackle this one right away. This is for OP07, okay, guys? This is a 2-cost 2K counter and return 1 Dawn, but look what it does. So it's a 2-cost 2K counter for your leader or character, and then rest up to one of your opponent's characters, and that has no cost restriction. Trigger is not really that great. It's better than nothing, I guess, but the trigger is put up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. You know, it's just like a little ramp. So you know, it's not bad, right? It's not bad. It's not really great either. But it's not really what we're trying to do in this deck, I have to say. So right here, this deck is made in such a way that it is a very strong counter against Law. Let me put my face back on it. There we go, guys. I almost forgot about that. This deck is made in a way that it is a very, very hard counter against Trafalgar Law. Red-Purple Law. This card right here, it's called Birdcage, and it is a 5-cost stage, okay? Not an event, not a character, a stage. And if your leader is Doflamingo, then all characters with a cost of 5 or less will not become active during both players' refresh phases. So in other words, any character you have that costs 5 or less, he is tapped, and that's that. He's not standing up in the refresh phase. Now, we will have ways to get around that, right? With cards like Spiderweb, with cards like Diamante. We have ways to get around that. But your opponent probably will not, because this is not a common theme in One Piece, restanding your own characters. There are only very few cards that can do that. There are cards that can do it, but there's not a whole lot of them in the game currently, and especially in the meta currently. There are not very many of them. Okay, so that's going to lock down your opponent's board with characters that cost 5 or less. So understand, in Red Purple Law, that's 99% of the deck, and that's 100% of some decks. Because if you're not running, what's his name, 7 cost Ace, that is every card in your deck. Okay, and also, at the end of your turn, if you have 10 Dawn cards on your field, KO all rested characters with a cost of 5 or less, then trash the stage. So understand, at the end of your turn, you're standing up 2 Dawn. And at the end of the turn, you're going to be able to KO all their characters that are tapped that cost 5 or less if you have Birdcage in play. Now, there's one other really nice thing in this deck we got to talk about. This card, Diamante, is a 5-cost 6k 1000 counter blocker that has Dawn ×1, end of your turn. If you have 2 or more active Dawn, set this character as active. So understand, if you have your leader down, Doflamingo, and Diamante, and you have 1 Dawn attached to him, and you have Birdcage on the field, understand how this will go. Even if it's on a 10 Dawn turn, here's how you will do it. You will choose, since all of these activate simultaneously at the end of your turn, you'll get to choose which one you want to do first. And the smart choice, of course, would be use your leader first to stand 2 Dawn as active. Now use your Diamante, and it sees, oh, I have 2 active Dawn cards, so I can stand up Diamante. And then finally, at the very end, use Birdcage, and then you pop the whole field. Okay, anything that was rested that costs 5 or less. On your side as well, you have to remember, this pops everything on the board that is cost 5 or less and rested. Okay, but this card is very, very strong, guys, and that's why a lot of people are running this to help counter decks like Red Purple Law. But let's not forget, this is not exactly bad against any deck running black either, because a lot of cards in the black card pool, they're running like Sabos, they're running Borsalinos, they're running what's his name, Absalom, Hogback, all kinds of small characters. And it's true, they can get around KO, but that's not really what we're trying to do with this card, right? Sometimes it is, but what we're really trying to do with this card is just slow our opponent down. We just need them to slow down so that we can drop our bigger characters, like Doflamingo, the 10 cost, and win the game in that way. And we also have a really good finisher in Hody Jones. Okay, so one more thing I want to mention, and we will go through the rest of these, is this is only a 50-card deck that they have shown. So in other words, 1 card is missing. I don't know what the card is that's missing. If I had to guess, I think in the list I'm using today, I copy-pasted this list and I used it in the sim today. Or I used it in the sim last night and we're looking at it today. They're running 3 Noro Beam Swords. I'm running 4. So that was the slot that I put in. But after playing the list, and we'll talk about this more at the end of the video, I actually like Diamante as a 4 of. This is a card that I absolutely cannot stand in any other deck. Like, I think I've mentioned it before. I don't think this card is good at all, unless you're running it in this deck, because it was literally made like OP04. These are both OP04 cards. This is a Don Quixote Doflamingo Pirates card. They were clearly made for each other. So yes, in this deck, I think Diamante is an all-star, and you'll see that in today's games. This guy really puts in work in the end, because if he sticks, if your opponent does not remove this card, you're smashing in for 7 with him at least. And then at the end of the turn, you're standing right back up, even if you have something like a Birdcage. It doesn't matter, because this says that your character, or no characters will stand in the refresh phases. Well, guess what? This is end of turn. It doesn't care about the refresh phase. So very, very, very strong interaction there. Now, let's just say your opponent is smart and they don't want to attack into your board so that they don't lose their characters to Birdcage, and they want to wait till the later game. Well, we've got a few ways to deal with that. Right? First of all, Sugar. This card, on play, rest a 4 or less. And then on your opponent's turn once per turn, if your leader is Don Quixote Pirates, rest up to one of your opponent's characters after they, whenever your opponent plays a character, you're going to be able to rest a character with this card. And guys, that has no cost restriction. So you'll be able to rest any character they have that they play if this character's in play. Now, there are some ways for your opponent to get around this. They can pop this character first, or they can even play out smaller characters to get around the effect, because you can only do this once per turn. And for whatever reason, the way this card is worded, guys, you don't get to choose when this effect resolves, like, or how do I say that? Let me say it like a little less clumsy. If your opponent plays out a card and you choose not to use this effect, like a character card, right? And you choose not to use Sugar, well, that's it. You don't get to try it on the next character. You don't get to, like, play around them doing that. That's just the way that they have it built into the game. I don't know why. You know, maybe it's for balance reasons. But yeah, you'll see in the games today, I'm pretty sure there's a few times in the games today where somebody plays around this by just playing out a one-call searcher. And it's like, okay, you rested my one-call searcher. Who cares, right? There are interactions that can get around this card like that. Punk Gibson, it's only running one of these, but this is a 2-cost 4K counter that can rest a 4 or less as well. And then the trigger can rest any character, no matter what cost they are. So we got ways to tap down their characters with Punk Gibson, with Sugar, and Hody Jones, by the way. Hody Jones also taps up to 2 characters or Dawn, right? So this card is very, very powerful for finishing games, or for just locking the board down with Birdcage for later. And then if we need to block out with one of our big blockers here, like a 5-cost 6K Queen, or even just, you know, block out with a little card like this Trafalgar Law, I don't know, for whatever reason, if that were to survive, we do still have ways to stand up our characters with Spiderweb. Okay, so that is, you know, that is very nice. Last but not least, let me talk about these last 2 events down here. Everything else you should kind of know what they do. If you don't, then just message down in the comment section below. We'll talk about it. Off-White is a new card from EB01. This is a 2-cost 4K counter that does a top 3 search for Don Quixote Pirates type character cards. So it does not hit events. It does not hit stages. It only hits character cards from Don Quixote Don Quixote Pirates. But this is still very good, and we're running 4 of them because this is a 2-cost 4K counter that draws a card potentially, right? And we're running a lot of cards that it can hit in this deck. It's running one Ragnarok, or a Ragnaroku, or whatever the technical translation is for it. This is a 5-cost that pops an 8 or less. It's just a good card. If they drop down a Eustace Kid, no problem. We have a 1-card answer for it. If they plop down a Katakuri, 1-card answer. Gecko Moria, 1-card answer. And I would even go as far as to say that maybe we need to go up to 2 Ragnaroks in the deck. It's an option. But I would not go past 2 of them. I don't think we need that many. And I will just tell you guys right away, this card is stellar in this deck. Like, you know, these cards right here, the Diamante, the leader, and this 10-cost character, these all came out in OP04, and they're clearly built to be a specific package, along with the 2K counter, along with the searcher. You know, actually, excuse me, this was from OP05, but the searcher, now that the searcher's out, you know, we can do a lot with it. Nora Beam Sword, I think I talked about this one. Spiderweb, Punk Gibson, yeah. Queen, we know what this card does. It's just incredible. And then Trafalgar Law. This is the last one. This is just such a great tech card against any deck that's going, like, with a big hand. Like, if they have 7 cards or more in their hand, you play this, and then they're going to trash 2 of them at random. So this card's, and it's just a good blocker as well, right? It's another blocker. It's a 1K counter in hand, and it has Dawn -1. One more thing I need to mention before we go into these games. Notice what Birdcage says. If you have 10 Dawn cards on your field, and this is at the end of your turn, right? If you have 10 Dawn cards on your field, KO all rested characters with a cost of 7 or less, and then trash the stage. Okay, that's nice, but we have cards like Queen and cards like Trafalgar Law that actually help us to keep this stage in play. So, for example, let's say there's a turn where your opponent plays out a Sabo to protect their entire field from this effect, and you're going to be on 10 Dawn next turn. Okay, no problem. How's about we just play out Queen, return a Dawn. Now we're at 9, even if we're at 10 Dawn, right? Now we're at 9 or less. We draw 2, trash 1. We've got a 5-cost 6K blocker, and we still have 5 Dawn to play with for the turn. And now our Birdcage will not get destroyed, and now we're going to keep their whole board locked down. You see what I'm saying? These Dawn -1 effects are actually very, very important. Okay, good stuff there. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into some games on the sim, guys. Whoops, that's not it. All right. Green, purple, Doffy. First game up we got against Yamato. Let me pause this. Y'all give me just a second. Get all set up. All right. There's that. And let's get on 2x speed. And we are good to go, guys. Awesome. Okay. Green, purple, Doffy. This list is very strong. I have to say, I think this is probably one of the strongest off-meta choices in the entire format right now. Like in the entire game, this is probably one of the best off-meta choices. So he starts off swinging 8 at my face. I have to lose 2 cards because y'all know what Yamato does. But that also let me draw a lot of cards, right? So I'm up to about 10 cards in hand now. Now I only have 2 Dawn, and I had to play out Sugar because I didn't have a blocker I could play. So this guy goes ahead and throws on Nami, and I have to... We got a 2K counter out of this, right? I use the Noro Beam Sword, get up to 9K, and we're safe. So he didn't hit me with the banish. Now, this turn, I really want to get a blocker down. I'm going to go ahead and play out Queen so I can draw some cards, trash some cards, and start fixing my hand. And now I have a blocker. And this is his 7 Dawn turn. So my opponent can technically play out something like a Hody Jones and get super aggressive. Okay, so he plays out the Yamato, and I am giving him a blocker because I have plenty more blockers. He had a 7-card hand. I hit him with Trafalgar Law there. I'm going to swing 5 into the Nami. I was able to rest the Nami because of Sugar. Sugar's in play right now, so I'm just getting, you know, tons and tons of value right now from that Sugar. Okay, he's going to tap my guy. Well, now I'm going to tap his guy. That's fine with me. Now he's going to swing 11. Yeah, that is a very, very big attack. I got to let that through. And then I got a spider web and a 2K counter from that though, from the last cards of my life. So we're actually fine here, believe it or not, because look at all the events in my hand. As long as I'm playing 1 blocker a turn, I'm probably fine. And I need to keep up 2 Dawn. Even though I get 2 Dawn back at the end of my turn every turn, I need more than that to survive here in case he taps my blockers down. So he plays out Shura I think to play around my pudding, or excuse me, he plays out a Shura to play around my Sugar. Sorry, guys. He has 3 life, so he doesn't get to attack with Ace that turn. And now I'm feeling pretty good here. I'm feeling, like, believe it or not, even though this is not a perfect situation, I'm still feeling pretty solid here. I'm going to swing for 7. I'm going to play out the Diamante, and I'm going to pass turn with 2 Dawn active so that I can go to 4 Dawn to use 2 of my events in my hand. These events are the only thing keeping me in the game right now because I would not be surprised if this guy has Hody Jones in hand and then he can just, you know, tap my board down and go face. But I've got 3 blockers now. Okay, he's going to swing 8. That's a perfect number for my 4K counters to get to 9. So I'm just going to use that. I got to draw a baby 5 out of it. And your turn. You know, it's still his turn. He's going to swing for 9. Right here, I'm considering using my Trafalgar Law. This is a situation where, or I could use... okay, actually, watch what I do here. I use my Diamante, and I go ahead and use another 4K counter, draw another baby 5, this time the 2K counter one, and then pass. So he plays that out. I do a slight play mistake here. I wish I had tapped the dog down, but it probably doesn't matter that much in the end. But it kind of does, right? Because I could have swung 5Ks into the dog. I can't swing 5Ks into the 6K, what's his name? Into the 6K Ohm. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and swing for 5 at him. And he actually takes that, which is very dangerous. But I'm not going to take the bait because I have 3 blockers and I'm about to tap down his leader and 2 of his characters. Now I'm not even scared of Hody Jones, right? Because I have 2 Dawn active. I have 3 blockers on the board. I also have a Sugar still. Let's not forget about Sugar. Anything he plays is getting rested. And when I say anything he plays is getting rested, I should specify whatever he plays, I will get to choose what to rest on his side of the board that's not a leader. So any of his characters like that Ohm, I can rest that the turn that or as soon as he plays something. And I think he's coming to that realization here. He's like, okay, well, I need to use the dog first. Okay, well, here you go. Here's a nice 4 cost 5K blocker. Your turn. He has 3 Dawn active. I'm going to swing 10 and see what he gives me. And this is not a position you want to be in, right? First attack is coming in for 10. He does not counter out of it. No trigger. So right here, I'm going to swing into the dog, see if he wants to save it. He doesn't. Okay, well, in that case, then I'm just going to lock your whole board down, and I'm going up to, 2 Dawn at the end of turn, because, again, he just quits out. He didn't even have Hody Jones, but it wouldn't have mattered. If he had Hody Jones, or if he had a ace, whatever it was getting tapped by Sugar. And then, for whatever reason, if he had 2 aces or something, right, that still doesn't matter because I have the 2 Diamantes, and if he somehow gets through that, I'm sitting on a spider web and 3 2K counters, or excuse me, 2 2K counters. So feeling pretty good. Very controlling list, guys. This list is very, very strong control. Okay, next up, we got a game against Dragon. A game against Dragon here. Okay, let me go up to 2x speed. All right, and we are good to go now. Let me just make sure it registered 2x. It did. Okay, not a great start, to be honest, because I want my... last game I didn't even get to drop a birdcage. The game was too fast. Yamato just goes too fast. But that was a good testimony of how strong the deck can be, even if your opponent does have, you know, or, excuse me, even if you don't get Birdcage down on turn 3, which is ideal, you can still win the game. Okay, right here, I do a Baby 5 search and I grab the Birdcage. So now that is going down next turn, pretty much no matter what. I'm saying go ahead, please attack into my guy if you want to, you know, to use up one of their attacks. And then I am absolutely dropping a Birdcage next turn, unless something better comes up. Okay, get a 10 cost Doflamingo off the top. So right here, I have Nora Beam Sword in my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop this Birdcage. And now, his stuff is not untapping. Some people might be asking, why did I not attack life there? I could have, but at the same time, I don't want to give him too many cards. I am in full-on secure mode. Like, I'm trying to lock the board down. Okay. So right here, I have to get the 2K counter because you can only get characters with that card. Remember, with the 2-cost 4K, what's the card called? Off-white. Okay, and then he rushes in for 9 there, guys. That hurts. We had to take that, but now that character's locked down. But yeah, remember, that 2-cost event that does a 4K counter, you can only search up character cards from Don Quixote Pirates. Okay, so what do I do here, right? That's my question. I go ahead and play out Sugar as like a defensive precaution against whatever he plays, and then I'm going to swing 8 at him. I'm like, okay, I see you're running a lot of rush. I should have swung at face last turn too, to be completely honest with you guys, but that's fine. I play out Sugar. So, okay, let me explain an interaction real quick. Whenever my opponent plays out a card, Sugar's action would normally happen, but simultaneous effects happened. My opponent played the card, so the on-play effect happens. You know, they get to choose the on-play effect first to KO my guy. Well, now I don't get to use my on my opponent's played, or however you say that, whenever my opponent plays a card effect. So, you know, it completely took out my Sugar. Unfortunate. Okay, that's a good card. Nico Robin, I don't see that card very often. At least not anymore. I don't see it very often. So right here, my opponent should be concerned swinging into me because I run cards, you know, like Nora Beam and like potentially cards like Punk Gibson. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to go up to 7, rest down that 5 cost and give him a 2K counter. I didn't have any good 1K counters to give him. And now it's my turn. But remember, that card is locked down. But he's going to activate his Emporio Ivankov, the 4-cost one. And let's see what he gets. He's probably just going to replace the Robin. He might even replace, like, the Inazuma. And he does. That was smart. Replacing Inazuma with a new Inazuma. Okay? So I'm swinging 7 because your guy is locked down. I swung for 7 because I wanted to play out this Trafalgar Law to pop 2 cards out of his hand. I got a 0-cost 3K and a 2K counter. So that was pretty nice, actually, because now he's going to have a hard time defending his board. I have 1 life left. I have Birdcage down. I have 4 Dawn active, and I have a blocker. So I'm feeling pretty good about this situation. But it's not over yet. There's still a lot of game left. But one thing I will tell you is whatever he's about to swing with, the other one is getting tapped down. He swings for 9. Okay. Right here, I should be using Nora Beam Sword to tap down the Inazuma. Perfect. And then go ahead and use a whiteout. Even though it's an over-counter, it's fine. Unfortunately, I didn't get to draw a card, but it's fine to over-counter in that situation, I feel like. Because it locked down another attack. Okay, he's swinging for 6 there. I'm going to give him a 2K counter. I still have my blocker. He's putting 2 on his leader, and he's about to go face with this leader here. Okay, he tried to attach 2 Dawn to his leader. You can't do that. Dragon's Effect does not allow you to do that. Okay, at least I don't believe it does. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it does not allow you to do that. All right, so I just played out Sugar. That's like the best insurance card you can ever play out because whatever he plays now, I am going to tap it down. But there are cards to play around this, like Nico Robin or Bello Betty. He did that for a reason. By the way, he finds Dragon off of that Bello Betty search. Feels bad. But, okay, I'm still going to rest it down because maybe it will trick my opponent into attacking into my Sugar. Because, hey, if you want to take out my Sugar, I have no problem with that. So he's going to swing for 6. I'm going to 2K counter out of that. And now he's going to play Dragon, obviously. Okay, he's trying to decide which one he wants to replace. It doesn't matter, to be honest. Because all those cards are getting KO'd from the Birdcage or they're not standing. Swing 11. Excuse me. I have to block out with this because I just don't have enough in hand. So right here, we're going to go swing for 5. See what he gives me. Probably just a 1K counter. Yep, and he does. And now I just have to hope my opponent doesn't have some kind of rush card here. Right? At least not a rush card that I can't get around with these events. And it looks like he doesn't. Because now it doesn't matter. He doesn't have enough Dawn to do what he wants to do. Now it's just going to be a very simple swing for 11, swing for 14. GG. I should have swung 12 and then 13, just being technical. I should have swung for 12 and then 13. That would have been the correct call. Because look at that. He had 12 at the end there. That was a close one. But either way, we pulled it off, and good game. Dragon's turning out to be a pretty decent deck. Okay, next game we got against Perona. Green-black Perona. Perona's showing up all over the place as well. I would say it's an off-meta choice, but it's not off-meta anymore. They kind of figured out over in the East, like, hey, this deck kind of has a good matchup against everything. If not a good matchup, at least like a decent matchup. It has a few... I think a few decks do just hard counter it, maybe like full-on blue decks that have bottom decking as removal. You know, and they also spread the board wide now by playing out the 7 Warlords of the Sea package. But other than that, this Perona deck list has a good matchup against almost anything and everything. Okay, so he blocked. So, oh, sorry, guys. Let me show you what just happened there, because it was actually a play that I did here on purpose. I swing for 5 with my leader, and he has a 6K blocker. So anyone in their right mind says, oh, okay, I'll just block that. Right? Watch, I swing for 5. Okay, I'll block it. Nice. Well, now your Borsellino's locked down for the rest of the game. You know, that's kind of the strategy there. I wouldn't consider it an outplay because he still got the 1K block value from it. He was going to get it at some point. But still, that does help because now he has one more card that can't attack potentially or whatever. Now, right here, he wants to play You Could Be My Samurai. I've got Birdcage down. I'm fine with you playing You Could Be My Samurai because now those cards aren't untapping for the rest of the game. Swings in for 7 into 5. I'm going to give him 2 2K counters right here, actually, because I also want to play around Isho, and I just don't want to give him any kind of advantage here. I want to keep poking into him, and I want to play out Hody Jones in this case and just start smashing face. That's right. I forgot I had Hody Jones in hand there. I am the aggressor now, because how are you going to get rid of this Hody Jones? That's my question to the Perona player. Are you going to try to swing all of your Dawn into it? Because bad news, right? I'd easily be able to counter out of that with a what's it called? A Punk Gibson and a 2K counter in hand and a 1K counter Sugar potentially. Because I think he can only load up for 8, 13. Yeah, so I would actually be able to counter out of that. Because 4 would be 12. Yeah. Okay, so right here he's going to swing 8 into face. Okay. Now, unfortunately, my Punk Gibson cannot hit a Sabo. That would have been nice, but it doesn't. So that's okay. I'm actually just going to lock him down here. I'm going to swing 7 into face and then 8, 8. Okay, he counters out of 1. Okay, swinging 8. He's probably going to take both of these because next turn is his last turn. He understands that. Hey, go ahead and play Gecko Moria, right? That's where I'm at right now. I was like, hey, why don't you go ahead and play Gecko Moria? You know, you really deserve it this game because it is not going to help you, right? Bringing back a 4-cost character, you guys take a look at what's in my hand, what I got to the very front of the line right there. Yeah, whatever he plays this turn, if he swings out of order, that card is going bye-bye. And by the way, it doesn't even matter what order he plays it in. I have a Sugar in my hand as well. So, it's just game over for this guy. And he swings late. Perfect. Okay, Punk Gibson, get out of the attack and tap down your Borsellino. GG, he just leaves. He understands it's completely over now. And just looking at his hand, he only had a 2K, a 1K. He only had 3K in counter. He was never surviving that turn, even without the Punk Gibson. But either way, that felt pretty nice there. Using green tricks against green decks feels good. Okay, next up we got Rob Lucci. OP07 Lucci. This deck you're going to see a lot of. And hey, like I said, guys, this leader, and I understand this is just the sim. Let's not get too crazy or get, overhyped or whatever the word is. I understand this is just the sim, but just know, guys, green-purple Doflamingo is serious. Okay, this leader can absolutely compete against some of the better decks out there. The list we looked at was the first place list at a Sword Battle in Japan in OP07. Okay, I don't know what it played against, but it has a very good match against Red Purple Law. And I think if you get better and better at playing the deck, like you learn all the different nuances and intricacies of the deck, all those intricacies add up, right? And then all of a sudden you just, you play the deck like a different player. Okay, so he's going to swing 6 into me here. Feels bad. I don't even have a 2K counter. That feels absolutely horrible. I do use Spiderweb here to actually give my leader plus 2K for the turn. He's still going to attack with his leader to get a card in his trash. Obviously, that is the right play. But I did that just to get out of that. Okay, right here, I'm swinging for 6. And now we are dropping Birdcage. This deck has such good lockdown potential because of that card right there. I wish that was not a leader-locked card to Doflamingo. And I know a lot of people are like, whoa, calm down, right? I'm sure a lot of people are freaking out about that. But honestly, guys, I mean, how many green decks are just totally busted right now? And if Birdcage was not leader-locked, so he's swinging 7, by the way, I go ahead and I used what's that? I keep forgetting the name of that card. Off-White. I used Off-White there to get out of it and draw a card. But guys, hear me out. If they had actually made Birdcage available to anyone, or an effect like it, I understand Birdcage is Doflamingo's special effect. If they had made a card like it, that was available to all green leaders, certain cards would have never had to be printed. You know, like Jory Bonnie the leader, the way it taps down cards. I don't think that card would have had to be printed. But oh well, I don't want to get too much down. You know, I don't want to go down that tangent too much. Okay, so my leader there is going to pop. He's going to pop my Diamante. That's what this deck does, right? This deck just pops every single card you play. Now he is saving his Kaku and his well, he couldn't swing with Khalifa or the other Kaku this turn because he just played them. But hey, I'm going to go and play out a blocker, make him trash 2 cards. I'm swinging for 6 at his face, and I'm going to play out a blocker here. We're going to play out a what's his name, Queen. Excuse me. This is perfect because it lets me trash that birdcage I don't need anymore, and it keeps me at 10 Dawn. So now, you know, he can't, how do I say this? When my, you know, because when that birdcage pops, that's that. And I'm trying to keep him from swinging by keeping it up. Swing for 6. Okay, I'm going to block here. I have a whole entire thing planned out here. I block with this guy because he already did -1 cost to it. I go ahead and just give it to him so that way he can't remove it and I get no value from it. That's fine. And I get it. I was just going to say he can -2 to my Trafalgar Law. Now, he did not do that. You know, that did not work out the way he wanted it to, but that was his play for the turn was to pop my Queen, right? Because it was going to be, I don't know how he was going to do it. Oh, excuse me. Okay, he had Lucci. I was going to say, I don't know what this guy's doing. But I think that the plan there was he was going to be able to pop both of them. Maybe. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so right here, his entire board is not rested. So it's time to go all in. So I swing 7 at him, and it's time to go Hody Jones, swing 9. You got it or you don't. Right? Sometimes you just have to make that gamble, and he did not have it. I had no other choice. My only other choice there was what? Maybe play out my 4-cost blocker Law, and then sit on all of my defensive stuff. Okay, maybe, because I do have 1 life and I would have a blocker. But what are the odds of my card surviving? He could literally hit it with a... You see how he has Tempest Kick in his hand right now? He could have popped that card with a Tempest Kick and a Rob Lucci. Or even just... Excuse me, not even. He could have just swung at face with Brooke after Tempest Kicking, and that's game over. Right? There's just no way I get out of that. Okay, so I had to just go all in there, and one of the best closers in the game, guys, is this card right here. Hody Jones. Might have to go up to 3 or 4 of these. Okay, last game. We got one more game. This one's just a fun one. This one's not the most competitive, you know, opponent. Or excuse me, I don't know how competitive the opponent is. I should rephrase. Not the most competitive leader that my opponent is using. But it's still a pretty good game. Because the thing about Vegapunk is, like, if the game goes on further and further and further, the stronger the deck gets. Because now you're going to be able to start dropping the big characters, like 10-cost Ace, 9-cost Yamato, 8-cost Katakuri, or whatever he's running. I don't know what he's running in his deck. Okay? Right here, he's smart. He stays at 2 life. That's just a good life to stay at for Vegapunk. Excuse me, because that way it makes sure your cards like Frankie, the new 2K counter Frankie from OP07, they stay active. And speaking of that, there he is right there. I was gonna say I remember this game. You know, I was hoping he got any card other than Frankie right there, because Frankie, you know, if you have 1 card or less in your life, you're drawing a card and you're plopping that card down. Okay, so I do get Ragnarok there. I want to save that if he gets some kind of big character like a Katakuri. He swings for 7. I use my, the card I keep forgetting the name of, Off-White. I use my Off-White there to get out of that and do a top search. Get what's her name? Sugar? I keep wanting to call her Pudding for whatever reason. Okay, but I get the Sugar. He adds a Nico Robin to the top of his life. So I will not be attacking his life probably for the rest of this game until I can win the game. Because, for those who are not aware, that 3-cost Nico Robin in his life has trigger, draw 2 cards. It's just a straight-up Sanji's pull-off for this kind of deck. It is a very good card. Now, he did 2K counter out with that Edison. That card in his trash right now, that's a draw 2 trash 2. I'm surprised he used that. You know, I don't know. I guess it's fine because it saved one of his characters. But how badly do you need the characters this early on when I have no characters? I think he kind of got a little bit greedy in my opinion there. I don't know who this guy is, obviously, but it was a little bit of a greedy play. Okay, so I counter out of that with a 2K counter. Now, I have Spiderweb in hand and 2 Dawn active thanks to my leader's effect. Oh, okay, you're going to swing 9 into 6? Oh, perfect. I'll just stand him up and do a 10K counter. Right? Now you have to swing a face, and now I can use this however I need to. And I think do I give him a 2K 1K here? I do. I give him a 2K 1K, and I just canceled his entire turn with, you know, with basically 3 cards. And yeah, that is a lot, but I'm not exactly in the best position. I needed every little bit of that advantage. Okay, so right here, what do? I'm going to swing 8 into 6. I have the same life as him. So that Atlas, for those who are not aware, let me pause this real quick. He counters out to save it. Atlas has on the card, this card cannot be KO'd in battle while you have less life than your opponent, or something like that. So in other words, we have equal life, so now I can fight that card and actually KO it in battle. But he does a 2k, 1k to counter out of it. I'm kind of okay with that. You know, I'm eating up the cards from his hand. I'm actually fine with this. Okay, I just need to keep 2 Dawn active. I'm going to swing 9 into it this time. That's fine. We got a lot of cards out of his hand. I've got 2 Dawn active for use if I need it. I'm bluffing an event, right? I actually don't have an event. Okay, but that's okay. He doesn't know that, and it'll help. Maybe I get an event from my life. He's going to swing for 9. Okay, let's take the first one. Nice, we got another 2k counter. So now we've got two 2k counters in our hand, and we have another blocker if we need it to get around this. One card that I really wish I had gotten this game was Birdcage. If I have Birdcage, this entire game's different. And I understand he has the stage. He has a stage that stands up his characters. It doesn't matter. He wouldn't be able to just swing all out every single turn like that, like he's been doing. If I have one Birdcage, it changes everything. So I'm going to swing 5 into 5, see what he gives me. He's got to be running out of cards here. Okay, since that did not go through, I'm actually going to hit him with a with Queen, and I'm going to, I can't remember, I think I trash. Do I get rid of Sugar? Yeah, I get rid of Sugar because number 1, I don't have Birdcage, and number 2, he has his stage. So it's just a hard counter. I go ahead and pop his character there with a Ragnarok just because I really didn't have another option. I'm trying to slow him down, and yeah, then he plays out a card that I was saving it for, and I'm like, oh crap, you know, that's less than ideal. That's a less than ideal situation there. Okay, so he swings for 7 with Frankie. I think I 2K. Oh, I gave him an off-white there. Now I'm going to lock down his cards to the best of my ability. I don't even think I could lock down anything, could I? Because of his stage. That stage is so strong, guys. That stage is really nice against this deck in particular. Okay, so he gets an Edison. He's obviously looking for some kind of blocker or something, right? Like, I can only imagine he's looking for some kind of blocker here, because he needs something to start getting board advantage with. But that is a good card. That Edison card, 4 cost, 5k, 2k counter, draw 2, trash 2. That card's incredible. Swing for 9. Okay, no problem. I have a Noro Beam Sword here. I really wanted to use this on the Edison, so that way I could keep multiple cards tapped down with my next Doflamingo. But it is what it is. It didn't work out that way. I needed to counter out to the best of my ability, and that was pretty much it. Okay, so then he untaps it with the stage. That stage is so frustrating. It's so good. I'm going to swing 5 at life and see what he gives me. Then I'm going to swing 10 into life. And now we're just going to lock him down and win next turn. That is the goal. That is the strategy of what we just did right there. Okay, yep, lock down the only guy I can, unfortunately. I've got 2 Dawn active, I have 2 life, he only has 2 attacks, and I have quite a bit of counter power in hand. I've got 4k, plus another 4k, plus 1. I've got 9,000 power in counter in hand, and one of them could potentially draw me to more counter power, and then whatever I have in my life. I have a Queen in life, and then 1 unknown card. So he's got his work cut out for him. Okay. Honestly, I think if I'm... Well, I don't know what's in his hand. He has 9 Dawn active, so I'm like, okay, what does he have? Like a Yamato? I don't know. Swing 5. I think I give him a 2k counter here because I want to keep the baby 5 in case this game goes any longer. So that was done for a reason. Okay, we'll take this one. We'll take this one. And then my opponent, excuse me, he tapped 1 Dawn, so he's about to set a card in his life. And he sets the stage. So right away, I'm like, okay, his hand must be totally bricked right now. Okay, he does gain a life in that way. That was not too bad. But it's hard for me to believe he had no other better choice than to put the stage into life. So that was kind of weird, but it is what it is. I'm swinging 10 at him. I'm swinging 11 at him. And I'm swinging 14 at him. That's the strategy we're on right here. Again, I kind of did that wrong. I probably should have done like 11, 12, 12 or something like that. But that's okay. We got it done. Good stuff. GG. Okay, so that's it for the games on the sim. I'm running the exact same list. Let me move my face real quick and bring up the deck list. This is the list that I'm running. It is the exact same list as what we just looked at the beginning of this video that got first place at this store battle. It says only 50 cards are shown. It even specifies that. So let me just explain. I put in another Noro Beam Sword. My list is the exact same as what we just saw, but I put in another Noro Beam Sword. But after playing the deck, and after playing everything out, I have to say, this card is good. I want to keep it as a 3-of still. But I think, honestly, what I would probably do, like, I'd put it back down to a 3 of, and I think I might go up another Diamante. If I stay with this list, I go up another Diamante. I also, it's hard to say, because here's the conundrum in my head right now. I would love to have another Ragnarok in here and another Hody Jones, because that one game, I don't win that one game without Hody Jones. It doesn't happen. Like, where I just had to go all in. Well, it's my only rush character, and it's very powerful. And if I need to, if I get flooded on Hody Jones for whatever reason, I still have Queen to cycle cards out of my hand with. So I don't think it's ever just a total dead brick card. So I don't know. Maybe 2 is right. I don't know. It would feel really bad, though, if I search over it with, where's the Baby 5 searcher, this card? You know, if I search over my Hody Jones, that feels awful, because it might have been my only win condition. So you guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. There are 2 cards that I would like to go up on. So, first of all, there are 3 cards. Let me drop the Noro Beam Sword down and go up Diamante. I think this card was incredible. There was never a time I was unhappy with this card when I was playtesting. Even games that I lost, this card I'm happy with. Because if I drop down Birdcage and then I start putting down Diamante to start fighting with their board, we're in good shape. Same thing with Queen's not the exact same, but the same idea with this 5-cost, 6K, 1K counter blocker feels really good. Everything else felt really good, but I would really like to fit one more Ragnarok in the deck, or maybe I don't need it. And again, you guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Because if I just shift this card right here out for something like a Hody Jones, now I've got one more option at, you know, shutting down my opponent's attack for the turn. Or, excuse me, what am I talking about? I have another way to tap my opponent down with my bird cages, you know, with the Hody Jones. And now I can just run into whatever I need to. And if I have to go for lethal for whatever reason, I can just tap down their blockers and go over their head. So something to definitely consider. And you guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. I really like the Punk Gibson in here. That card is a nice little like one-of tech card that allows you to just, you know, really punish your opponent. Because you have 4 ways to go main phase, tap down a 4 or less, and then 1 way to do it in the events. Off-White was pretty good, I have to say. This card was pretty good. Same thing with Noro Beam Sword. This tapping down any kind of character. Maybe that's something, you know, that I'll have to do in the future, is maybe I do get rid of my Punk Gibsons and go up to 4 Noro Beam Swords, because this can rest any character, right? Just any of them. There is no like, oh, 4 or less. Now, I will say Punk Gibson's a 4K counter, and Noro Beam Sword is only a 2K counter. The Dawn -1's not really a big deal in this deck, guys. Trust me on that. Yeah, there will be a few times where you're like, dang, I really don't want to play this because I want to play Doflamingo next turn. But, you know, you got to pick and choose your battles wisely so that doesn't become like a game-breaking type of scenario, you know, or choice. Spiderweb is solid. Off-White is solid. These are all really good. The Trafalgar Laws were really good, but maybe I can go down one of these. Maybe going down one of these is the call to go up 1 Hody Jones, or maybe even, like I said, potentially up 1 Ragnarok. We'll have to see. And I really am looking forward to you know, reading what you guys have to say about this. That's about it, guys. I really don't have anything else to say. You know, when it comes to green, purple Doflamingo, these are the only cards for it. We can look at some big cards. Like, let's look at like the 8-cost cards, then go 8, 9, 10. Eustace Captain Kidd could be a card you tech in here for even more control. That's a possibility. But I think if you go this route, I think all of a sudden I think you have to replace Hody Jones at that point and just go like a full-on you know, defensive route or whatever, you know, however you want to say that. And at that point, maybe you put in the Rosinantes, right? At that point, you probably put this card in. We'll have to see. But what do you take out for this card? Do you get rid of the Trafalgar Laws? Because the Law is really good at cutting your opponent's cards down if they get out of control. It's always a blocker. And then it also is good for the Dawn -1 effect to keep your Birdcage going. There is some choices there. There are some decisions to be made. But then for 9-cost cards, I do want to mention 2 very strong 9-cost cards in Zoro and Kaido. Kaido is just like one of those really powerful cards. And think of it like this. If they've been playing around Birdcage the entire time, and then you're just like, okay, I'm at 10 Dawn, so in a turn my Birdcage is going to pop, you know what, I'll just play Kaido and pop whatever 6-cost or lower character that I need to, like if they just played a blocker for the turn, and start smashing into whatever I need to with this huge character. This is a very powerful character. Also, Zoro, like I said, if this card sticks, and your opponent passes the turn, so it's your turn again, it's probably a wrap, because this card can just go face harder than probably any card in the game currently. Okay, and what about for 10? Of course, we know Doflamingo. It's not really working properly. Sorry, guys. But anyway, we've got Doflamingo right here. And then, of course, the 10 cost Luffy. Well, there's also the 10 cost 12k Luffy. That's kind of interesting. This is the vanilla one. But I have to say, this would be the bigger consideration. And I don't really think it's in the cards for us. No pun intended. I don't think this is the way to go. For what we're doing. If I were to play any card that's like a big card, let me look at the 7 cost real quick. Yeah, Hody Jones is solid. This is also a really good card that we're not using because you can, every turn on attack, you can Dawn -1. First of all, to make your leader into a 6k, and when you're playing this many super strong events, all of a sudden it becomes really hard to deal with you. You know, because now your 4k counters are going to get to 10k. You know what I mean? This is very solid. But Hody Jones, this one's probably the more utility. You know, the card that has more utility, however you want to say that. Then Eustace Kid, like I said, this card could be more of a... This is like a more aggressive option with Hody Jones, and the Eustace Kid is more of a defensive option. Because this also does help against Red-Purple Law. Because if your leader is 6,000 power, and you're locking down their board every single time they attack, this card is probably a little bit better into Red-Purple Law, whereas Hody Jones is probably a little bit better into everything else in the format. It's hard to say. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. But yeah, so that's it for the 7 cost, guys. 8 cost, you know, we can't run Crocodile because our leader's not Baroque Works, so we don't really get that effect. I guess we technically could get the bottom effect, the when opponent attacks once per turn, but we don't need that. Douglas Bullet is interesting. This card has seen a little bit of a resurgence. Well, I don't know about a resurgence. I don't know if it was ever played, but it's starting to see a little bit of play. Because, man, if you lock your opponent down, like against Trafalgar Law, this is just a straight-up finisher. Because with Birdcage... Okay, let me read what this card does for those who are not aware. This is an 8-cost, 10,000 power card. So it's vanilla stats, but no counter, and this is the effect. Activate main once per turn, Dawn -4. That's a big investment, but listen to what it does, guys. Rest up to 2 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. Then this character gains double attack. So if they had a bunch of 5-cost blockers they were sitting behind, because, you know, Law has like, Red-Purple Law has 5-cost Queen, and they have 5-cost Miss All Sundays in OP07, and they have 5-cost Eustace Kid. Okay, well, no problem. You know, they're trying to play around Birdcage. Well, if you run Douglas Bullet, you can start tapping their cards down, and he gets double attack. That's, you know, that's not irrelevant, however you want to say that. Okay, and then Eustace Kid we talked about, very solid. And I think we already talked about 9. We talked about the Kaido and Zoro, yeah. Right, guys, that's about it. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Actually, one more thing. Almost forgot. Let's look at the events. We are running the 1 Punk Gibson, 4 Off-Whites, 4 Spiderwebs. But there's a lot of interesting little cards to run in here, guys. I have seen decks in the past run Union Armado. The decks that feature more film stuff, so this list doesn't really need that. Thunder Bog was just a good card. Hell's Judgment is a good card, and it'll help keep your Dawn down, but I don't think you want to keep it down too much since we are running Doffy. Excuse me, what else? That's probably it, guys. That's probably it. If I miss anything, y'all help me out down in the comment section below. All right. I'm done ranting. Guys, thank you for... Let me put up the old patrons page real quick. Thank you guys again for everything y'all do, helping me out the ways that y'all do. I really appreciate it. To everyone who just watches the channel, like views it, subscribes, likes, shares, excuse me, comments, all that stuff. I love reading the comments and stuff like that down below. And big shout out to these guys on the patrons page for helping me out the ways they do, you know, actually donating to the channel and, you know, with Patreon and all the different ways they do it. And one more thing I do want to just leave, I will leave it up. Let me bring up the playmat. I will have more on this in the future, guys. Let me move the patrons page. There we go. And let me move my face. Like I said earlier in the video, I will have information on this as I get it. So y'all please be patient with me. The mat came out really good, guys. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier is, yes, it will be stitched edging. This was just a trial run. I wanted to see how it came out. I wanted to make sure the colors were good. I wanted to make sure all the you know, the manga panels came out correct and all that. But guys, this mat here, you know, it will have stitched edging, and I couldn't be more happy with the way it's laid out. Where, like, you know, these 2 hockey bolts are separating the attack zone from the command zone from the resource zone. Really happy about this. All right, I'm done. Appreciate you guys as usual, and please do not forget to like and subscribe if you have not already. And yeah, till next time, guys. Peace.